I've made 5 SpaceX videos in 1 week. 5. I've missed so much schoolwork that my maths teacher is probably going to demote me from first set to fourth set. I'm literally dreaming about rockets at night. That's not normal. And the worst part, I failed my maths test last week. I got so obsessed with SpaceX numbers that I forgot to study actual numbers. So let me get this straight. I can't pass a maths exam, but I'm sitting here questioning trillion-dollar valuations. Make that make sense? I used to love bubbles as a kid. Then it was bubble tea. Now everyone's talking about the AI bubble. And the more I researched SpaceX, the more I started thinking those two things might be about to collide. Now I need to say something. First, I'm only saying this once. Elon Musk is a genius. I said it on camera publicly. We're never discussing this again. Moving on. Because here's where my brain started breaking. When SpaceX IPO buzz started heating up, I opened my investing app and I noticed something strange. Rocket Lab, up. Intuitive Machines, up. AST SpaceMobile, up. All of them, spiking together at the same time. Now let me ask you something. Did Rocket Lab suddenly build a better rocket? Did Intuitive Machines land on the moon again? Did AST SpaceMobile sign a massive new contract? No, none of that happened. SpaceX IPO rumors heated up, and these stocks went up just by standing next to it. That's not investing. That's catching someone else's wave. And I'll say this straight. If SpaceX drops 20%, these same companies will drop 60%. I'd bet my life on it. Waves that come from hype eventually crash back down. Now, let's talk about what actually happens after the IPO. Because this is the part nobody wants to discuss. SpaceX goes public. Massive hype. Billions flooded. Stocks rockets on day one. Everyone celebrates. And then, quarter 1, earnings drop. Loss. Quarter 2, loss. Quarter 3, loss. Because that's the reality of what SpaceX actually is right now. A company spending enormous amounts of money building the future. The future costs money. And quarterly earnings don't care about the future. They care about right now. Look at Figma. IPO nearly $100. Today, it's sitting just at $21. Down 35% just the last year alone. Did Figma become a bad company? No, it's still one of the best design tools on earth. The product didn't change. The hype died. And when hype dies on a stock that never had the profits to back it up, the charts tell you everything. Now, think about Nvidia. Genuinely impressive numbers. But the forecast for next quarter wasn't insane enough. Not bad, just not insane enough. And the stock dropped 20%. 20% gone. From growth slowed from extraordinary to merely excellent. And when Nvidia dropped, every AI stock dropped with it. Companies that had nothing to do with Nvidia's specific business got dragged down because the big brother stumbled. Now, imagine SpaceX reports a loss. Not just a disaster, just a normal quarterly loss from a company investing heavily in infrastructure. What happens to Rocket Lab? What happens to Intuitive Machines? What happens to AST SpaceMobile? These stocks that went up doing absolutely nothing. Will they hold when SpaceX starts bleeding red every quarter? I don't think so. And then the shorts arrive. Short sellers aren't evil exactly. They're more like they smell weakness before anyone else admits it's there. The moment SpaceX starts dropping post-IPO, the moment retail investors start panicking, the moment those quarterly losses pile up with no profit in sight, short sellers just pile on. They hit the iron when it's hot, and they could take a stock down 20%, down to 50%, faster than most people realize what's happening. Now, here's the psychological part nobody talks about. You buy SpaceX at IPO. You believe in the mission. You believe in Elon. You believe in rockets and Mars and the future. 3 quarters later, you're down 35%. What do? Do you hold? Do you average down? Do you bail? Most people bail. And when they bail, everyone connected to the space and AI sector fuels it. Because that's how contagion works. One big stock stumbles, panic spreads. And suddenly, stocks that had nothing to do with SpaceX are getting destroyed because they were all riding the same wave. And we've already seen this happen. Remember DeepSeek, the Chinese AI that came out of nowhere. The moment it was announced, Nvidia lost hundreds of billions in market cap in a single day. Apple down, Amazon down, Facebook down, every AI stock on earth felt it. One announcement, one day, trillions wiped. Not because those companies suddenly became worse businesses, but because sentiment shifted. And when sentiment shifts in AI, nobody is safe. Nobody. That's not prediction. That's already happened. But here's the thing people don't talk about. Elon mocked BYD years ago. Said they weren't a threat. Tesla was untouchable. Then BYD didn't just catch up. They overtook Tesla. More electric vehicles sold worldwide. And now Elon is buying their batteries because BYD makes better batteries than Tesla can. That came to bite him back hard. Now, imagine that same story playing out in space. Right now, China isn't just building one rocket company. There's a dozen, more than a dozen, all testing reusable rockets, all working on vertical landings, all getting better, some of them already succeeding, while the world watched SpaceX thinking it was the only player in the game. But here's what most people don't realize. The entire world, the G20, the best minds on Earth, they had International Space Station, and nobody let China in. So you know what China did? They built their own, and in a couple of years, the world won't have a space station anymore. The ISS gets deorbited, and you know who will be the only country with a fully operational space station? Leave a comment. While SpaceX is focused on rockets and Mars, China quietly solved the infrastructure problem. So here's the food for thought. Elon spent hundreds of billions designing new rockets, getting something to Mars, getting a human being to Mars. That's the entire story. That's what justifies the evaluation. Then one morning, you wake up and a Chinese company lands on the moon first, or lands on Mars first. What happens to SpaceX narrative then? What happens to the stock price when the thing you paid $1 trillion for gets beaten by someone nobody was watching? This is exactly what happened in 1999. The dot-com bubble didn't burst because the internet was fake. The internet was real. It genuinely changed everything. But investors stopped asking ordinary questions. How much money does this company actually make? How long until this is profitable? They just said, imagine what it will be in 10 years. And the reality arrived. The fall was brutal. Not because the technology failed, but because the price was never connected to reality in the first place. Sound similar? Now, I'm not saying SpaceX fails. I genuinely don't think that. I'm not saying it's a bad company. I said on camera, it's run by a genius, and I meant it. But what I'm saying is, what happens when the hype dies? What happens when the quarterly losses just start stacking up? What happens when retail investors who bought the dream are sitting on a 35% loss with no recovery in sight? What happens to every stock that rode the SpaceX wave up? What happens when the wave reverses? Those are the questions nobody's asking right now, because nobody wants to be the person who doubted SpaceX. But somebody has to ask. Even that somebody is a 13-year-old who failed his maths test while researching this. Now, could SpaceX burst the AI bubble? I don't know. Nobody does. But I think we're about to find out. And if it does, those 3 labs I showed you, Rocket Lab, Intuitive Machines, AST SpaceMobile, all riding a wave they didn't create. Will those be the first ones to drown? Watch those 3. Because when they just start falling for no reason, just like they rose for no reason, that's when you will know the wave is turned. I'll be watching. Probably doing that instead of my math homework. My math teacher's gonna hate this video.